Hey, what is up guys? Glink here. Today we're going to be going over some basic hunter macros. These are for Beast Mastery, Marksman, and Survival. These are some pretty useful and pretty easy to use macros. So let's get right into it. The first thing you're going to want are the basic pet attack macros, and basically for kill command, aim shot, and mongoose bite I have these, although you can choose the abilities you want them for, but the idea is that you have a keybind that's built into your rotation that sends your pet to attack automatically, because you should be keeping your pet on passive and not aggressive so that you can actually easier control exactly where it goes and all that. And these are of course very simple to make. So for the kill command macro, you would just put show tooltip kill command as shown here, and then the first line you'd want to put dash pet attack, of course followed by slash cast kill command. And of course this same format applies for aim shot, which is what I use for pet attack on marksman, and mongoose bite, which is what I use for pet attack on survival. And like I said, this basically allows you to control where your pet is going. So let's say you're just wanting to cobra shot, or you're wanting to arcane shot, or you're wanting to raptor strike a target that you don't want your pet on. Maybe you're hitting a totem, or you're just hitting an enemy player that's nearby, but you want your pet on, the kill target. This allows you to do that. The next type of macro you're going to want is the cancel and stop casting ones. So I have one of these for turtle, which cancels the turtle aura, not the heal. Make sure you don't cancel the heal, but as shown here, it just cancels the turtle shell, which allows you to attack. So maybe you turtle to be defensive, and then you realize you no longer need the turtle shell, or you need to do something offensive. Then you can use this and it'll cancel aspect of the turtle. And I also have built into this macro stop casting, which is important for something like wyvern sting or playing marksman even, when you need to cancel your casts. And I make this a separate keybind, of course. I don't build this into any ability. You couldn't really fit it into any ability anyways, but you can build stop casting into other abilities. For example, one really easy one to put it in is feign death, because every time you feign death, you don't want it to be delayed by a cast you're doing or something. You just want to feign death immediately. This allows you to do that. You're going to also want a racial or an unused trinket macro built into one of your 2-minute cooldowns or 1-minute cooldowns, or whatever you want, really, any major cooldown. So for example, I put the orc racial into aspect of the wild for BM, I would put it into true shot for marks, and I would put it into aspect of the hawk for survival. And even if the cooldown timers don't match perfectly, like let's say one of them is on cooldown and one of them is not, you can use the keybind and it will obviously use whichever one is off cooldown. Or both if they're both off cooldown, which is the idea. Next, of course, you're going to want your focus macros. Most people probably have this figured out by now, but just in case you don't, for some of my abilities, I use focus macros. For other abilities, I just use the shift modifier. So let's say I have concussive shot bound to 3. I will just have a shift modifier by default. So hitting shift 3 will just make concussive shot hit my focus. I won't need a macro for that. However, for wyvern sting and for frozen arrow and for muzzle and for counter shot, I actually have separate keybinds for those focus abilities. So if you want that for some of your abilities, you can make them as shown here. Finally, you're going to want a roar of sacrifice macro for yourself and for your teammates as shown here. Obviously, if you're playing 3v3 arena, you need one for all 3 of your teammates. If you're playing 2s, just you and your teammate. And obviously this will make your pet give whoever's name is in these macros roar of sacrifice. You can also have party 1, 2, and 3 listed in here instead of actual player names, but you will have to keep track of what order your teammates are in the party. Also, you're going to want a macro for bullheaded, which is a pet ability that dispels any crowd control effects on your pet on a 3-minute cooldown, and you're going to want that on your bars. Since it's a pet ability, you can't drag it on your bars, so you have to make a macro for it. So those are most of the important macros you need for Hunter. There's probably a few other ones you can make, but that should get you set for most of what you need for PvP. And of course, these are also useful for PvE. A lot of these things are required for PvE as well. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.